Hey everybody, this is Alexandra Hoerr, the founder of Optimum Joy Clinical Counseling here in Chicago. And if you're watching this in this present season, it's actually the holiday season. And I think that the holidays can be times of wonderful connection with family and with friends, time of rest, this really kind of wonderful time for a lot of people. On the flip side, there are many people who have really complex families and don't necessarily feel a lot of sense of like belonging and knownness and can really feel a lot of loneliness in this season. And to kind of add to that, I think that we, here, especially in Chicago, you walk around and you see themes of thankfulness, peace, joy, this kind of idyllic advertising kind of all over the city. Even like Macy's has their windows that are starting to be set up that you kind of go and peruse, and you see these really beautiful and perfect scenes that are centered around these themes of the holiday, such as joy. And as I'm kind of walking around downtown Chicago where our office is, I'm starting to think, man, this is really reminding me of something. And it reminded me of a blog I wrote a couple of years ago on our blog at the Counseling Center that was really kind of centered around this theme of joy. And, joy for a lot of people doesn't actually feel easy to hold on to. It feels elusive. It feels like maybe I'll never experience that in life. And it's kind of while it's a wonderful thing to aim for, it's a hard thing in actuality for a lot of people to experience. I would say even in my own life, it's been hard at times to experience a sense of joy. And what I was remembering about what I wrote from that blog at that point in time, which we'll probably link below or attach to this video in some way, is the idea that joy, what the research shows is that joy, this complex emotion, is actually something people can experience in their lives despite circumstances. So someone can actually be in really difficult and even like suffering circumstances and still have this sense of joyfulness. And the same goes, someone can be in a really kind of perfect, content, happy season of their life and also feel this sense of joy. So it's this kind of compounded, complex emotion that doesn't necessarily have to do with financial security, success, a secure relationship with another person, all these things that we kind of aim and hope for and think that we will be happy if those things come to be, which I think that those are all really wonderful things. But when they don't happen, that doesn't mean that we have to be joyless people. And the point that I really want to kind of focus in for our time, just in these few minutes that we're here today, is that what was revealed in research is that one mechanism for cultivating a sense of joy is actually to practice gratitude. So, when I was young, I grew up on a farm in Missouri, and my grandma's house was about 5 or 10 minute drive away. And in the middle of their wood, there was a pond, and us grandkids used to like to go up and down this path to the pond, probably when we weren't supposed to, honestly. And at the beginning of summer, the path was way more weedy. It was kind of sometimes, hard to find the start of the path. It was just kind of like you'd get scratches on your legs because like the bushes would just be grown in it, and the path was not worn at all. But as we kind of continued to visit my grandma, this path started to be more and more worn, and it started to expand. And it was like what would to maybe take, 5 minutes to walk to the pond was then taking 2. And we could even run down it and race down it and be there in like 30 seconds. So that same idea actually works similarly in our brains and our neural networks and pathways. And we have kind of knowing that knowledge and ability to start to cultivate joy in our lives through practicing gratitude. So if the walking up and down the path is actually gratitude and thankfulness, the pond that we're trying to reach is joy. And the more we come up and down that path or practice it, the more accessible it's actually going to be. So I, just kind of like here in our time together, I thought, oh, you know what? I think I'm just gonna write down and think of some examples of you know, statements that could be something of like practicing gratitude, just to kind of give you guys some ideas and then challenge you guys practically ways to do this in your own life. So I have them kind of written down here. I'm just gonna read through them if that's okay, and give you guys some examples. So one is, I'm thankful I found, oh, this one's actually kind of funny. This happened to me when I had a house full of guests. So I didn't plan enough. It says, I'm thankful I found that extra roll of toilet paper in the shelf and don't have to run to the store on a cold Chicago night, for my own self and for the people that were staying with me. On a more serious note, I'm thankful that you're my friend, and even though you've been busy and haven't had time for me, I can still remember and access all those great memories we've had and really hope to create some in the future. Man, that person really broke my heart. I've learned a lot about who I am through it. I am so glad at this time in my life for my self-selected and what we call an elected family, when my original family didn't make me feel known or cared for. On the flip side, maybe I feel really grateful that I did grow up in a family who did provide and care for me. It can be as simple as, wow, isn't it awesome that you can use green onions that you buy from the store, put the roots in a glass of water, leave them on your kitchen counter, and they will grow again for you to use. How cool is that? My past is painful, and yet I wouldn't trade it for the person I am today, because my present self has truly been shaped by my past self. On the flip side of that, I'm so glad my past is my past, no longer here, and my future is before me. I really love my bed. It's so comfortable. That's my favorite one. This hair, these legs, this stomach, these arms are not the shape or size or anything that I want it to be. But man, they have really carried me through every single day of my life. So there's all these, you know, there's all these different ways that we can start to look at circumstances and think of the ways that, of just like even the smallest detail that we're thankful for. A moment with a person, the bed we get to sleep in, the ability of our bodies to actually kind of care for us by taking us day in and day out. And we really have to start looking, I think we really, as a people, we need to start looking for these moments of gratitude so that we can realize that our joy isn't really dependent on those things I was mentioning earlier, like financial security and the love of others and things going right and well and happy and good. I want for your life to go right, well, happy and good, but when or if it doesn't, you can still access joy. So I guess my challenge to you is to start actually practically doing this in your life. And you know, in my work as a therapist, you know, this can be as simple as keeping a journal. Some people like to actually have a physical piece of paper. Some people like to just keep a note in their phone, but to actually start writing down and recording the moments of gratitude or thankfulness that you have. There's something really important about being able to go back and read those things too. At some point in time, I haven't read this book, but there was a book published, I think called 1,000 Gifts, that really centered around this idea of thankfulness. But really it was, you know, record 1,000 things you're thankful for and then see how you feel, with kind of the ideology that you're gonna actually feel a lot more content and better in life, no matter what's going on. Another practical thing you can do is just set a timer on your phone. Isn't technology so great that you can just set a timer to go off every day at 12:05 to remind you to kind of come up from your life, look around, and just kind of notice your circumstances and notice the things that are going on and what you can be thankful for. So practically just start doing this in whatever way actually fits your life the best. The second thing, and this I think is also really important, is start sharing this with other people. And I mean sharing it in two parts. I mean, first of all, sharing the parts of your life that are really hard. You know, man, this isn't really going so well for me. Man, my family's really complex, so like being with them in the holidays is really hard. And then to also start to voice these things that we are thankful for. So I'm really glad for my apartment, that I can have kind of a quiet day, just kind of chilling, eating good food and watching Netflix by myself. You know, that if I'm not gonna go and be with my family, I have a space that can really be whatever I need it to be that day. And so the more we can start to record these things and then vocalize them, the more that path is going to be worn and the more accessible joy is going to be in our life. So my challenge to you is that joy is actually so much closer than it may appear. And the way that you actually get to it is to practice gratitude and thankfulness. And the more gratitude and thankfulness that you practice, the more that joy won't seem so elusive in your life. So I hope the holidays go well for you and that joy is something that feels like you can really hold on to it in this season.